All right. Welcome to the Viking Age podcast, the official podcast for the vikingage.com. I'm your host, Adam Patrick. I am joined by Chris Schad, who is a contributor here for us at the Viking Age, as well as zone coverage and bring me the news. So go check that out too. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like this video. And if you already are subscribed, we appreciate you helping us out there. Make sure to also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And yeah, give us a follow and keep so you can keep up with all the fun Vikings takes that we have each week on here. I don't have any trivia or question or really anything. So Chris, today, just how you doing? It's mandatory minicamp is over. It's officially summer vacation for the Vikings. Do you have any like PSAs or any messages you would like for them to possibly hear if they're listening or watching right now about what to do or not do over the next 6 weeks?
Don't get arrested. Like that. That's what this season is. This is the don't get arrested season. Don't get arrested. Don't blow your hand off with fireworks. Is there anything else that I can say? Don't. I was going to make a Deshaun Watson comment, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Jim Ross is in my head. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Think of your family. Think of your show. Don't do it. My God. No. Just stay out of trouble. To have fun. Just stay out of trouble. There's no need for a U-Haul full of fireworks to go to your cabin. And, so, yeah.
When's the last time? I'm trying to think of like the last person to get in trouble in the offseason for the Vikings. I can't remember. Was that Taylor Heineke stomping through the
trying to kick
door?
in a screen door? Thought he was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Just wanted to get the glass breaking.
What did he say? He was like they were going to the movies and they forgot their keys or whatever. I think that's what he said or whatever.
So this reminds me. I'll tell this quick story. So when I moved into my current apartment, which is kind of like an older place, I had a whole bunch of friends come down. And one of our friends, I joined a little bit late. So, I mean, I hadn't been drinking, but my friends had been drinking for a couple hours. And one of my friends he was starting to pass out at the bar. So I'm like, hey, I'll drive you home, whatever. I get him home. He's passed out on my couch. He's right in front of a window. Well, the rest of us walked because downtown Rochester is walking distance from my house. So everybody walks, and this one guy walks and sees my friend on the couch, but both doors are locked because I just moved into the apartment. So he's like, oh, this isn't funny, whatever. So he decides to lower his shoulder and go through the back door, which is made of wood. So like me being inebriated at this point, go back and I see this splintered back door and lose my mind. So yeah, Taylor Heineke, I feel you, man. I really do.
Hey man, he was gonna compete for that backup job, I think, that year. What was that? 2015?
2017, I believe.
27?
Because that would have been Case Keenum year. He was competing with Case Keenum.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Imagine how different that year is.
Oh my God. Yeah, and a lot of people, I think, argued at the time that like even the limited time that Heineke got, he played better in the preseason at least than Keenum, and the Vikings went with Keenum because he was the more experienced guy, the veteran. He didn't put his foot through any glass doors, and it worked out.
Seemed like an intelligence test.
It worked. It was a good decision.
I would say so. Worked out okay.
All right, let's move on to our show today. Topic number 1 I got for you has to do with maybe the Vikings. They're not really being talked about in the Super Bowl conversation, but sometimes the teams that aren't talked about end up being in the Super Bowl. This was the case for the Bengals last year, who in 2020 went 4-11-1, and then last season they went 10-7. I think they won the AFC North, and they ended their season with an appearance in the Super Bowl. It was a close game, so they didn't get blown out or anything. Now the Vikings record last season was, it was 8-9, so it wasn't as bad as the Bengals in 2020. But, could you envision a scenario where the Vikings go on a 2021 Bengals-like run and earn a spot in the Super Bowl next season?
Well, no, because I'm more of an NCAA 14 guy.
Okay.
So like my energy is on getting the Gophers to the college football playoff.
Oh, okay.
Um, I would be surprised if the Vikings got to the Super Bowl this year. And here's why. It's not a negative thing, but this is the same team we've had over the past 2 seasons that has not been over 500, that's missed the playoffs and a lot of things. We're going to season 5 of unlocking Kirk Cousins. Like this is like Stranger Things where everybody liked the first 3 seasons before it turned into like a slasher flick, I guess. So we have that going on for us. We also have the same group of players who basically turned on Mike Zimmer midway through. And that's not to say Zimmer didn't bring it upon himself,
Yeah.
but I mean, this is a group that was every man for himself. And some of the players are gone, like Schad Breeland's out of there. That was addition by subtraction. But I mean, you still got Garrett Bradbury as your starting center. Your edge rushers, like if Zadarius Smith or Daniil Hunter go down, you're screwed. You're resorting to Patrick Jones and DJ Wanham as your edge rushers. You have a secondary that's a house of cards. Like we don't know how good Andrew Booth Jr. is going to be. He's still injured right now. Cameron Dantzler, is he good or did Mike Zimmer just hate him? Patrick Peterson, how much gas does he have? Like there's a lot of questions on this team, and like there's no like real upside to it. So if the Vikings did go on a Super Bowl run, it would be very surprising. It'd be like 2017, where we came into the season with these same concerns, but you had a group with a lot more upside because it was a younger roster. And lo and behold, they get to the NFC Championship game. So that's kind of the way I'm taking it right now.
Yeah, I mean, people were surprised when the Bengals made the Super Bowl. So I think for them to go on a run like that, it would be surprising. I think they are. I will say this: I think they're capable of it, but I'm with you. I don't think it'll happen just because I think there's just too many pieces from the previous regimes that didn't make a run. What's up?
If this change was made in 2019, I could say yes.
Yeah.
After the New Orleans game, if they, I mean, Kevin Stefanski, we don't know if Kevin O'Connell's as good as Kevin Stefanski, but I mean, that coaching change, that switch from an aggressive kind of angry head coach to, a laid back offensive kind of guy that uses a lot of motion and stuff. I mean, yeah, that could have been the ticket right there, but
doesn't do research when trading for a player and giving him a $230 million guaranteed. Yeah.
The home of Deshaun Watson drive-bys, baby.
Yeah,
he deserves every freaking one of them. Like, I don't know, maybe like 66 of them.
I mean, Kevin Stefanski's got other problems right now to worry about. But yeah, I just think they're capable of it, but I wouldn't put money on it. And I think you predicted them to start 0-2. And if that happens, I also wouldn't sit there and be like, "Oh, the season's over." One, because there's 17 games, and two, because we've seen them start bad plenty of times and go on a run. What were they 1-5 in 2020, and they won like 5 or 6 in a row. And they started 5-0 in 2016, and then finished 8-8. So, I just think they have the pieces to make a run. I think health is going to be a big factor. I think health of other teams is going to be a big factor. The reason, let's not lie, a big reason they were successful in 2017 was because Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing for a good portion of the season, so that helped them make it a lot easier in the NFC North, and they didn't have to see him in the playoffs or anything. So it's going to be health. It's going to be how quickly do they adapt to the new defense and offense, and then how good of a new coach is Kevin O'Connell and all that stuff. But I think they are capable. Would I be surprised? Yes, but am I going to sit here and be like, oh wow, they defied the odds? No, I don't think it's something like that. I don't think it's like a Bengals situation where like no one really envisioned that happening last year. But so if it's not the Vikings making this sort of Bengals-esque run next year or leap, you could say, then who's a team that you maybe think could do that next season? And it doesn't have to necessarily be like, okay, they go make the Super Bowl, but they maybe they win their division and they make some noise in the playoffs, but they were terrible last year. Who do you think is a team that has, the ability or the capabilities of making that kind of transition, I guess?
Well, maybe you look at the Vikings and you could say that, but
Yeah.
let's look at the two teams here. So, like, Chris Boyd was talking about like how everybody's assholes were tight last year, right? There wasn't a tight asshole
tight.
on the Bengals last year. Like, they're freaking kickers going out there to make
Well,
a,
Trey Wayne's maybe.
kick. Well, yeah, but I mean, hang on. Like, Evan McPherson's going out to kick a game-winning
Yeah.
field goal.
Oh,
He's like, yes, we're going to the AFC Championship game. Here we
Rookie,
go.
right?
Yeah, rookie kicker.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine Mike Zimmer? Like, you better not miss this, or I got a
Yeah,
shotgun
he would
in
not.
the
He
back.
would not be
We're
doing
in
that
Cincinnati.
Minnesota.
We're only a short drive from the ranch, I'll make you watch Chicago PD, and then I'll like, and then you also, I mean, look at the Vikings here. You have a head coach that is a member of the Sean McVay tree. Zach Taylor for the Bengals, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell for the Vikings. You sign a big time pass rusher in free agency, Trey Henderson, who's 27 years old, Zadarius Smith, who is 32 with a bad back, and then you have a kind of a no name defense outside of that. Like, I mean, some of the guys have name recognition on the Vikings, but they're kind of in old Yeller territory where they take you out back, and Rob Brzezinski sitting there with some termination papers like, hey, man, thanks for everything. We got to let you go. I don't know where you thought I was going with that, but I can tell you one difference, though, between the Vikings and Bengals. Joe freaking Burrow.
Yeah.
Like, that man. So let's go back to the Titans game, right? His headset to call plays cut off. Yeah. And like, he was just like, nah, don't sweat it, guys. I got this. He's
the playoffs,
pounded into the freaking turf. Like, he's about to get 6 feet under. He's like, nah, dude, I got this. Like, whatever. Yeah, it's just whatever. Like, Kirk Cousins in that situation would be like a 6-year-old at Target. Just like, where's an adult? Can somebody call my mom? Where's like, so to answer your question, I picked the Chargers. And I know they weren't as bad as the Bengals last year, but they missed the playoffs. They should have made the playoffs. But I mean, they have everything they have from being a non-playoff team to a Super Bowl team. You have Justin Herbert. You have a loaded offense. You have, a defense that had Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. Like, I'm excited to watch the Chargers this year because I think they're going to be really good. So I guess if you're looking for a team to make a jump from a non-playoff team to a Super Bowl team, that would be my pick. After I talked for a whole bunch, who do you have?
Well, yeah, they could. I think they're going to be a lot better. It's too bad nobody will be there to watch them in their home stadium, but they should be a lot better.
It is quite the task to have 17 road games on your schedule. They'd probably welcome a London game like, hell yeah, it's going to be neutral field.
Oh, for sure. So for last year, well, the year 2020 or whatever, the Bengals won 4 games. And you look at teams that were around that range last year. You have the Jets, you have the Giants, Lions, Panthers won 5 games, Texans, and Jaguars. I'm gonna out of that group, I'm gonna go with the Jaguars.
Sure.
Because Doug Peterson, way in the NFL, okay, maybe different college, but in the NFL, Doug Peterson is a way better coach than Urban Meyer, probably, and 1,000 times better person. What is their quarterback's name?
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Wow, did I not know that? Trevor Lawrence. His stats on paper were not that good, but he played pretty well last year, given his circumstances. They have a bunch of playmakers on offense and defense. On offense, they get the return of their running back, Travis Etienne, this year. They signed Christian Kirk. They have Marvin Jones. They signed Brandon Scherf to their offensive line, which should help them out. They have Josh Allen's a great young pass rusher. We got Shaquille Griffin in the secondary. I almost forgot to mention they have Laquan Treadwell. So like I said, I don't know if they're gonna go on like a Super Bowl run, but I could see them surprising some people next year, winning the division or sneaking in, as a wild card team because I just think Doug Peterson is a really good coach, and things for whatever reason crumbled there with the Eagles at the end. But I don't think he ever had like a season where it was like, oh, this guy's terrible. Like he's Urban Meyer or whatever. So if there was a team that's gonna make that jump, I would that was terrible last year. I would put my money on the Jaguars. What do you think?
I like the Jaguars. Plus, they play in a bad division, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So, I mean, I think the Titans are going to be like the anti-Bengals, where they were the number 1 seed last year, and now
yep.
they're going to fall off a cliff because who do they have? Derrick Henry, and then Derrick Henry's 28 years old.
Yeah, and just
Like, you
traded
want to talk
what?
about old Yeller territory?
They just
That's
traded
Derrick
AJ Brown.
Henry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they replaced him with Traylon Burks, who is dealing with asthma, not his fault, but he's not AJ Brown to begin with.
And Robert Woods.
So, yeah, coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah.
But their coach shows up to the draft with a hat that says "Run the ball," and they draft Hassan Haskins of all people. Okay,
I don't know. I feel like Vrabel is one of those coaches though that like it doesn't matter what players he has on the field, he's going to figure out a way for them to win. He's just been able to do that his whole career. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were still in the mix for the division there. I think everyone's assuming the Colts will win that, but you never know because Matt Ryan hasn't done much in the last few years. So let's not put money on that either.
No love for Dan Campbell though.
No.
That's the one team in the division.
Jared Goff is his quarterback.
Yeah.
Like I think 1,000.
DeAndre Swift. You want to talk about forgetting people?
I think 99 out of 100 people would take Trevor Lawrence over Jared Goff just next year.
Oh yeah, but
so
I don't know. I'm not.
No. I think the Lions will be better.
I almost want to see the Lions succeed for Dan Campbell and Dan Campbell only. That guy is like Homer Simpson running the power plant, or like Mike Tice getting hired to coach the Vikings for 3 or 4 years. Just like a guy who like, yeah, I got some plans. Let me tell you about all of them. We're going to throw it to Randy Moss as much as possible. Yeah, you could try and stop it, but whatever.
Great start, Mike. On the flip side, this hasn't happened in a long time. Speaking of Mike Tice, how surprised would you be if the Vikings finished with less than 6 wins next season?
Very. Because, I mean, just looking at their schedule alone, this kind of, they would either need a big injury, like Kirk Cousins getting hurt, and like Sean Mannion has to start the rest of the year.
Justin Jefferson.
Or Justin Jefferson, or like a natural tank, as Matthew Collar calls it, where like Harrison Smith, Eric Kendricks, all those older guys that I was talking about dive off a cliff, and you're just like, okay. But their schedule, I mean, they play Detroit twice. They play Chicago twice. That should be 4 wins, 3 or 4 wins right there. Then you have the Jets and Giants at home. The Vikings should be able to win those games. So that's 6 wins right there. And the rest are a bunch of 50-50 games. Yeah, you play some good teams. Like maybe you got a lesser percent chance in Buffalo. I'm not going to get into Steiner math here. But, there are some winnable games. So, yeah, if they finished with less than 6 wins, I would be floored and excited at the same time, because then we finally get that scorched earth rebuild that some of us believe they should go on. But
you hope so. We thought
I'm not hoping for a lost season.
I'm saying,
but I'm
saying we hope if that happens. We hope that happens, but we thought that was going to happen this year. We thought they cleaned house in the front office and coaching staff. We thought that was a great opportunity to clean the roster too, but they didn't.
Yeah, this was not the offseason we dreamed of. Like, let's put it that way. Like, we much would have rather had them trade guys for picks, and then
we would like them to be the Bears. We want what the Bears are doing. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised too. I just think there's too many playmakers. Yeah, a lot of people would have to get hurt for them to do terribly. I think I looked it up, and they've only finished with 6 wins or less 6 times since 1991, which is not a lot. They're either decent or above average, and
they're mid,
slightly super, like 15-1, 98, 2009, 13. I think did they win 13 or 12 games in 09? I think they won 12. And then
12.
13 in 2017. But yeah, things would have to go extremely wrong. They wouldn't be able to understand the new offense. The defense would just be way worse than it was, which I think is kind of a possibility, defensive wise, because once I think I mentioned this on the last episode, Ed Donatel, he's not like his boss is a great mind, great defensive mind, Vic Fangio, but no one ever associates Ed Donatel like, oh, he's like Wade Phillips or like another Bill Belichick or whatever. Like, it's Ed Donatel. He's been a defensive coordinator before, but I'd kind of put him and Mike Pettin on like the same level where like they've had success, but are they some of the greatest defensive minds in the league? Probably not. Who will be the worst team in the NFL next season?
I got a list of 6 teams. A list.
6.
Not the list of Jericho, but a list nonetheless.
You just made the list.
Speaking of which, I'm just throwing this out here. Did you see Aaron Rodgers' new girlfriend apparently is a witch, which is not to be confused with a wizard. Chris Jericho is a wizard. Throw a fireball at your face.
I didn't know he had a new girlfriend because I don't care about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, her name actually is Blue of Earth. I'm not joking. Like,
what?
That is her name.
What is going
on?
And
her Instagram is a tweet or treat, not a tweet. That's a different platform. But
is it real? Really?
It is real. Like, go check out her. I cannot repeat what she said on her Instagram story.
He better go on Pat McAfee.
Let's just say Olivia Munn had a different story than she did, as far as Aaron Rodgers goes. But let's stop.
He better go on Pat McAfee. They're gonna make fun of him so bad.
Bring her along. Have Pat ask your questions.
Yeah. All right. Worst team next season.
Worst teams. I'm sorry. My list. The list of Schad. Texans, Falcons, Panthers, Seattle, Jets, Chicago. I think the Texans are the front runner to be the worst team in the league because, oh my God, they have nobody there. They have Derek Stingley Jr. and no receivers, and Davis Mills, who has a ridiculously long neck.
They just signed Chad Beebe, though.
Oh, God. Playing the parade. The Falcons, the Falcons aren't far behind for me because they're in the same situation. They have even less players. Like, they got Cordero Patterson, but Tyler Algier.
They should be fun to watch. I think they should be fun to watch, though. I think the Falcons.
They got Drake London, who sounds like a bad indie wrestler. So
that's a name they give to someone who comes from NXT and goes on SmackDown. That's totally a name.
You're now Drake now. Oh shoot, that's copyright. Never mind.
Yeah. I have the Panthers just because Sam Darnold is terrible, and for some reason he's still their quarterback. I think they're kind of holding out hope that something's still going to happen with Baker Mayfield. They just don't want to pay him for whatever reason. Like, like Matt Rule, if you're bad next year, you're fired. So why don't you want to pay for, Baker Mayfield? I'm sure actually he does, but the GM's probably like, no, we don't want to do that. And then, the Seahawks, because Drew Lock and Geno Smith are your quarterbacks.
Drew Lock can rap, though.
Bobby Wagner's gone. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are still there, but who is throwing them the ball? I think DK Metcalf, we're going to hear a lot about him being like, he's going to be like probably like trade deadline talk all next year. But I think he's kind of hoping for a new deal as well. So, Seahawks, Panthers. I'm hoping it's not the Texans because I kind of want them, because karma. I don't want them to get rewarded for all the garbage that they've been doing the last 2 years. It's not even just the Deshaun Watson stuff. It's the coach that they hired basically as a placeholder for Josh McCown. And then, Dolphins got sued and they were like, oh, shoot, we can't make him the coach. So we have to make Lovie Smith the coach, who's going to be just maybe a placeholder for 2 years. I hope they don't. I hope Davis Mills like goes off and they finish like 7-10 or something.
A friend of mine actually texted. He's like, man, they've recovered from the Tunsil and Hopkins trade nicely. They're gonna have 4 and 5. Like, who says no to that? And I go, the Browns.
Yeah.
The Browns definitely say no to that right now.
Yeah.
I'm just like, can we get our pick back?
Yeah. All right. Moving on to our next topic, which has to do with current Vikings center Garrett Bradbury, still on the team. 1 year left on his contract. They did not pick up his 5th-year option, which I think is a kind of a message that you haven't been playing so well, son. So maybe do better this year. But he was asked the other day, I think after a minicamp practice, if he would like to re-sign with the Vikings when his contract expires in 2023. And here's what he said. He said, absolutely. I love it here in Minnesota. Me and my wife do. This is an unbelievable locker room. And I think, with this coaching staff, it's pretty easy to buy into what these guys are selling. All right. I guess kind of, not buy or sell, but like how well does Bradbury have to play in 2022 to earn a new contract from the Vikings in 2023?
I think he's just got to be adequate.
Yeah.
Honestly, because the Vikings have cap issues, right? So if he's anything decent, like the Vikings are going to get him at a lower number than that 5th-year option would have been, because I don't know the exact number, what, 15
You think
million
so?
or something? Well, if he's okay,
What did
like
Mason
the Vikings
Cole? What did Mason Cole get this year? He got a good
I
amount of
forgot
money
about
from
that.
the Steelers.
Yeah,
Let me look
five
that up.
million per. Was that what it was?
Yeah, let me look it up.
315.
Yeah,
Well, you
right
look
around
that up.
5 million.
I'll
Yep.
finish. Okay,
Yep.
so I mean, I'll finish my answer. So if he plays adequately, I'm sure the Vikings would offer him a contract. I don't know. I think the writing's on the wall. I have a hard time believing, even if he did gain weight, like he's at 310 now. He said, I don't think it matters. Like
Beef and ice cream, I think he
I
said he's
can
eating.
gain weight. Yeah, I can gain weight too, drinking beer and ice cream, and like that's not going to make me stronger. That's his biggest problem. He's just not strong enough. He probably beat me in an arm wrestling contest, but
why did it take him until year 4 to put on weight? Like, did the other regime not want him to be heavier because
that could have been possible. Remember, Wyatt Davis showed up overweight and they mothballed him an entire year.
Well,
and he just might not be good, but
they ran a different concept. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
the zone concept. And I feel like they wanted more athletic guys. Like they drafted Brian O'Neill. Ezra Cleveland's more of an athletic type. So maybe they didn't want him to be heavier, which wasn't really helpful for him, especially because he's a center. Like, how many times is the center going to be like the lead guy out there, blocking for a run? But yeah, maybe he didn't want to. I think, me personally, he could be an all-pro next year, and I still would want the Vikings to move on from him because, one, this is a contract year. This happens a lot where guys are like, oh, like my job's on the line. I have to play better than I've ever played before. They do that. They get paid, and then they go back to pooping their pants like they did the rest of their career. So I don't really
Garrett
care what he
Bowles for the
does.
Broncos did that, where
Yeah.
he was awesome during
Yeah.
COVID year, and then they paid him, and he sucks now again.
Matt Khalil.
So, yes,
Yeah.
Matt Khalil.
Speaking of first
Hat
round
stealer.
I forgot about that. Oh man. Pizza chain owner. Yeah, I just don't think there's anything to me. It might be different. It's going to be different for the Vikings, obviously, but I just think like I don't think there's any upside to keeping him. Because you could draft someone, you could sign someone that could be just as good, if not better. Because I think the bar when it comes to Bradbury is pretty low, and I know O'Connell and one or whatever they've all talked him up. Like there's a reason why he was a first round pick, and that's nice of him to say that. That's just the kind of guy that O'Connell is. He's not Mike Zimmer. He's not going to be like, oh, Garrett Bradbury. It's not been too great these last few years. Like remember when he was like the owners meetings or something, and he just destroyed Xavier Rhodes for no reason. I think it was like after his All Pro season, or maybe it might have been the year after, and he's just like, Xavier's got to stay on the field. He's just always limping off with injuries and stuff, and it's just like, what? Like, it's you're drinking orange juice
He's
and eating
not
eggs. Like,
wrong.
he wasn't, but like I don't see this current regime ever doing anything like that,
No,
which is good
no.
and bad. But sticking with this theme, Bradbury, I would, right now we could say he's a bust, draft bust. He's a first round pick. But to you, who are your 5 worst Vikings first round picks? So I guess top 5 list, 5 worst Vikings first round picks since 2010.
Do you want me to start from 5 or do you
Yeah,
want
do
me
that, do
to?
that, do that. I
All
don't have
right.
any cool
So
sound
5,
effects for each one, but you can do
that's fine with me. Number 5, I'm just trying to add because I have 6 names because I'm really smart at counting, I guess.
it.
Number 5, I would go Mike Hughes.
Okay.
Or okay, I'll go 5A and 5B. Mike Hughes and Jeff Gladney, same position.
Yeah.
I was reluctant to say Jeff Gladney
Yeah.
just because of the circumstances, RIP, but he wasn't very good in 2020. And
Yep.
then on top of that, to have your first round pick get kicked off the team, even though
Yeah.
he was found innocent, I should mention
Not
that.
guilty.
But
Not guilty.
not guilty. Sorry. He was found not guilty. So,
Yeah.
it's just not a good look. Mike Hughes as well. A lot of that was outside of his control. That knee injury was pretty
Yep.
nasty. So,
Great
I
start.
mean,
You got off to a great start, Mike Hughes. I
yeah,
feel like.
he just never was the same player after that knee injury. He was okay with the Chiefs last year, but he wasn't the lockdown guy that the Vikings
No.
thought they were getting there. Number 4, I'm going to go with Garrett Bradbury. The guy gets knocked over by a stiff breeze. I think he's terrified. He's going to go into a bathroom late at night and Akeem Hicks is going to kick down the door. Be here for pancakes at 3:15 a.m. sharp. Type of thing. So, and plus you drafted a center in the first round, which is hilarious. Number 3, Laquan Treadwell. We were all excited to get him. If you go on YouTube and find the reaction video of the Treadwell pick, it's freaking hilarious because people are like making out in the crowd and jumping up and down and kissing babies and stuff. And it's great. Number 2, Matt Khalil. He was supposed to be a 10-year starter, Joe Thomas like thing. First year went very well. Then the knee injury started. Then he was stealing people's hats, like I mentioned. Got paid, got kind of lazy. Didn't really like football. That's something you should probably research before you make him the 4th overall pick in the draft. So there is that. And number 1, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm probably getting blocked on Twitter by his wife, who I don't follow anyway. Christian
I already am.
Ponder.
I already am.
Because that pick just from the start, I sat there and I was like, okay, that's your guy. Go ahead if that's your guy. But no, it just never worked. That athleticism never translated to the field. So good guy. Seems
really
like a
athletic,
really good guy. But
nice guy, smart guy.
Yeah.
I think he had like 2 degrees or whatever from Florida State. Graduated early or something. I have all same 5 players, but mostly different order. So I have number 5. I have Mike Hughes. So that's one similarity. Yeah, his career got off to a good start, got hurt, and just hasn't been the same. Number 4, I have Matt Khalil. I gave him number 4 because he was a Pro Bowler. Year 1.
Yeah.
He went to the Pro Bowl, 2012. I will give him that. Doesn't mean he's not a bust, but he went to the Pro Bowl. Number 3, I have Christian Ponder. Number 3. Because,
3. Wow.
Adrian Peterson was the main reason they went to the playoffs in 2012. But Christian Ponder was still there. He could have messed it all up. But they got to the playoffs with him as the quarterback. So I will give that him number 3. Number 2, I have Garrett Bradbury. He's just been terrible. He hasn't been good as a rookie, second year, third year. He's been bad every year. So he's number 2, and number 1 is Laquan Treadwell because he also was terrible. I think he had worse numbers with the Vikings than Troy Williamson, who is regarded.
I was going to ask who is worse.
Treadwell.
Treadwell.
Williamson had way better numbers than Treadwell. That's hard to do. That's hard to be bad. and he's a receiver, and his biggest thing was like he couldn't separate from coverage. I don't know if he can now. I doubt he can, but like you have to be able to do that to play receiver because he's not a deep threat. He runs like a 4.7. But it wasn't good. I think they wanted him to pair him with Diggs, and Thielen ended up taking his spot, and they never looked back. So, Treadwell, you are my number one bust since 2010. Not ever in Vikings history. There is a very easy pick to make for number one ever. Someone who didn't even practice at training camp. So, those
I
are
got
my
a list
worst.
here.
Yeah.
I did go back because I was just curious since 1998 because that's when I started paying attention to it. We got Troy Williamson, we mentioned him. We got Kenechi Udeza, which he got
Did he have
leukemia though
cancer?
too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't really his fault. It's like I said, it's like Gladney. It's still a bust technically because you didn't get anything from him. Chris Hovan, Demetrius Underwood, like you mentioned, Asmus James, who according to a friend of mine, the day he got cut, went out to the club. And at this club, nobody knew that he had gotten cut. So he told the DJ to let everybody know that he was in the building.
Oh boy.
So, they're playing a song like, yo, look at this. We got more Minnesota Viking in the building. And he's just like living it up for the last night of his NFL career. So, Rasmus James, man.
I think Udeze is a coach at like USC or something now. I think he's back doing some coaching, which is good for him. Just lots of not first round picks, not the greatest in Vikings history. I think you got some Randy Mosses and Justin Jefferson and Harrison Smiths, but overall, not that good in Vikings history. All right, let's move on to our final topic, which is mandatory mini camp. I think their last practice was on Wednesday, and they had like a team thing. I think I heard it's a barbecue that they did today at a.
What do you think is on the menu? Like probably some pulled pork. Gotta have some pulled pork, right? Some ribs.
Yeah, chicken, burgers, probably some bratwurst.
Don't have Kirk cook them. That's
no. Don't do that. He'll probably be
hey
like,
guys, I can bring some steak.
I can help out.
No, don't worry, man. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I brought paper plates. He don't let him near the grill. Oh man, did you watch his mic'd up and his just super dad energy of just like talking about the wind and like, whoa, look at that plane like flying by. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just super dad energy from Kirk Cousins. Expect nothing less. All right, let's look back at the Vikings offseason because it's pretty much over now. Now we just have to wait until training camp. So, looking back on this offseason, where do you think the Vikings improved the most this offseason?
I said they improved most with the atmosphere in the building. It's not an on the field thing, but just getting Mike Zimmer out of there, getting that whole kind of stuffy. It was like opening a window. It was a breath of fresh air. Getting Kevin O'Connell in there, somebody who wants to pay attention to both sides of the ball and work with his quarterback. Do a lot of those things. Yeah, I think hiring him was a pretty big move, even though I think maybe they're throwing a little too much on the plate, but the atmosphere was something that was needed in this building. So to add him, I know they didn't make splashes in free agency. They didn't make splashes in the draft. I think the place where they most improved was with the atmosphere at TCO Performance Center.
Yeah, that's fair. They got rid of, I mentioned, I don't know if you heard me, but getting rid of Sugarman was probably a good idea as well. Didn't sound like he was the greatest guy in the world, despite, buying everyone donuts every weekend.
That's a good way to endear yourself, though. Hey, you screwed up my knee. Here's the donut. Oh,
hey,
okay, thanks.
The guy who's trying to keep you healthy, it's probably not good that he's buying you donuts every weekend. So yeah, I would agree with you.
Are we still doing Donut Club?
Yeah.
No, we're not.
They might do something different now. I would agree with you. I put that they improved their daily happiness.
Sure.
But as far as on the field though, I would like to believe that they're improving to a much more modern offense and just a more modern style of running a team. Because I think if anyone's been reading about what's been going on at minicamp and OTAs, there's like it things are super lax. Like they realize it's OTAs and minicamp. We don't want anyone to get hurt, so we don't need to go full speed and get guys hurt because it's June. We don't need anyone to get any tweaks or anything, and have it turn into a season long thing. So I think just they have a much more modern approach to what they're doing right now, and I think that's a good thing. Whether it turns out well for the current roster or a future roster, I think they're heading in the right direction as far as their coach and GM and the way that they think. It's more of a up to date kind of style of thinking. What aspect of the Vikings got worse this offseason?
This is weird. This is really tough because I don't
Yep.
think they got worse, like anywhere. Like
Yep.
they didn't get better, but they didn't get worse. So I mean, so the one thing that I think they maybe got worse was their cap situation
Okay.
because they took a little bit off. They kind of kicked the can down the road again.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing this offseason that I could point to. What the hell are you doing? Because even so, if this doesn't work, Vikings could shed payroll like that. Like Kwesi could just be like Thanos and all right, Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, all of you are gone. We're going scorched earth and rebuilding this thing,
Yeah.
which I don't think they'll do because he's only got a 4-year contract. So,
Right.
it's so hard to gauge this team. You can't,
Mhm.
I mean, you can't be like, oh yeah, they're like you said, it would be a shock if they won less than 6 games this year because this
Yep.
is the same team. Like baseline's got to be 7 wins.
But also a shock if they make the Super Bowl, which is not you don't
Correct.
want to be in the middle. That's
There's
not where you want to
no
be.
extreme outcome, or it
There's no
doesn't feel that
benefit.
way.
There's no benefit of that either. Like it's not helping anybody. Position wise, I would say tight end, just because of Tyler Conklin
Mm,
leaving. He was pretty solid for the Vikings last year, and Irv Smith. Say what you will about his potential, but you can't argue that he doesn't have a bunch of question marks surrounding him as far as when he is supposed to break out, his injury. Like I think he's back to working on the sideline now. And Johnny Munt doesn't excite too many
Johnny
people.
freaking Munt to
Johnny
you.
freaking Munt
Johnny freaking Munt.
doesn't excite too many people. And this just overall, I kind of agree with you in just keeping aging past their prime players, probably isn't the best strategy. I don't mind them bringing someone back like Patrick Peterson, signing him to a 1-year deal. I do mind, giving Adam Thielen a pay increase when he hasn't had a 1,000-yard season in 2 years. Giving Harrison Smith a boost when he is 32, 31. He's not getting any younger. Like we might have seen the best of him already. So, and obviously the Cousins extension. So, yeah, just like you said though, it didn't get like super bad anywhere, but they didn't get a lot better anywhere either on the field, roster wise. All right, final question. So, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, start training camp. What is the biggest question about the Vikings that you would like to see answered in training camp?
Well, it's not going to be answered in training camp, but I want to know what's different with this team.
Yeah.
Like, what does the offense look like? What does the defense look like? We'll see a little bit of things, but they're not going to unveil the entire playbook at TCO Performance Center. It's going to be a really, I don't know. Like the Rams don't show anything during their training camp.
They don't even play anybody.
No. So like we won't know a lot of the thing. We're gonna see a lot of Sean Mannion, I guess. I mean Kellen Mond
throwing picks. Yeah.
throwing a pick.
Yeah, I think my
There's this
biggest
bad
question
thing about that though.
is can Kevin O'Connell convince Kirk Cousins that it's okay to make mistakes? out on the field? Can he turn Cousins into a bigger risk taker? Because, I don't think Cousins should be worrying about like, oh, if I make this mistake, I'm not going to get paid anymore. He makes FU money. Like, why does he care that he throws an interception? Who cares, man? Like, it doesn't
Stepbrothers
matter.
thing, like you
Like,
mentioned.
like it doesn't matter.
The Notre Dame student section chanted, Kirk has a
Yeah.
interception problem at him.
Yeah.
Kirk has an
Just
interception
yeah.
problem. Kirk has an
Just
yeah.
I don't get it, man. Like you are you've made the most money out of any player in NFL history, and you're still like, you know, what if I throw an interception? What are they gonna think about me? Who cares? Like people already have
Yeah.
like so many different opinions about you because he's just a doofus. Um, a good way. He means no harm, but he's just got super dad energy, and he always has his entire life. But like, we got to see if Kevin O'Connell can just like break through and just be like, Kirk, just make the throw. Who cares? And part of that, I don't know if part of that was because we heard Mike Zimmer say last year at times, like Kirk's got to be more aggressive. He's got to make those throws and not worry about interceptions. But was Mike Zimmer still going to be? He could say that in the media, but is he going to be like when he does throw a pick? Is Kirk going to come back to the sideline and is Mike going to be like, "Oh, it's okay, you tried"? No, he's not. He was going to curse him out. um,
What are you
so
doing?
maybe that was part of the reason where Kevin O'Connell is a former quarterback, former offensive coordinator. Maybe he'll be more understanding, being like, I understand what you thought you saw, but maybe let's try it this way at a different time, and just you gotta get it. He's got the talent. He needs help in the mental aspect. That's what he needs, and we gotta. He's had so many different coaches. He's had Sean McVay. He's had Gary Kubiak. He's had Kyle Shanahan, Kevin Stefanski. Nobody's been able to break through to this guy for him to just get to the top of what he's capable of. Can Kevin O'Connell do that? And like you said, probably not going to be answered in training camp. So, got anything else?
No, 6 weeks of waiting around now, but we got a plan. We got a plan to kill the time. Watch some old games.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
greatest day of my life.
yeah. We'll be talking about some old games next couple of weeks. Maybe we'll keep track of whatever news happens. Make up some stuff probably.
Don't get arrested. Whatever
We'll
you
try
do.
and interview some people to just kind of generate some more discussion. We can try and do that too. But yeah, that's it for today. It's all we got. Make sure to follow the Viking Age on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video. And until next time, which will be on Monday, Chris and I will talk to you later.